Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and today we're walking through Frontierland with Jim Hill. Jim's going to tell us what's been going on in Frontierland and what's about to happen over the next couple of years. Jim, why don't you talk to us about what we see in the background right there, the Golden Oak Outpost. It looks like Custer's last stand over here.
Well, it was McDonald's last French fry stand. And, remember, as part of the 10-year billion-dollar co-promotional deal that McDonald's had with the Disney company from the mid-90s to the early 2000s, they could serve McDonald's food inside the parks, and this is where you could get your French fries.
And that was controversial at the time, right? Because a lot of us were saying, we can get McDonald's food outside of the parks, why do we need McDonald's food inside the parks? But like you said, there was a promotional deal to be made, right?
If you talk to parents of young children, how many times you're just like, all right, what will you eat? You'll eat chicken nuggets.
Yeah,
all right,
you'll eat from the beige menu. Tater tots, exactly. Fries.
And so that's what ended up happening. On the other hand, from that same era of food out in the world, we got the Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn.
Pecos Bill's is fantastic. And they've recently changed the menu, right? They've gone from burgers to nachos, it's sort of like Tex-Mex, right? To fajitas, nachos. I think they still have a burger available, but it's definitely much more Southwest and again, Tex-Mex available. I really like the new menu. What about you?
As much as I enjoy the menu, I also enjoy the sort of faux Planet Hollywood take. I mean, that's the thing, if you go from room to room to room there.
Oh, I've never noticed that. Is that what that is?
That's it, exactly. Each of the rooms pays tribute to a different hero of the West. But again, in much the same way as Planet Hollywood, their memorabilia is up on the walls.
So it's like Planet Fort Worth.
And here we are.
There we go. Let's walk over the bridge to Splash Mountain, one of the iconic attractions of Frontierland.
Yep. Interestingly enough, Splash Mountain has just been in the news.
What for?
You remember hearing about that gentleman who unfurled the giant Trump
Trump banner on Main Street.
Yes.
Right.
Well, he was a Disney annual pass holder for 24 years.
Was being the operative word in that sentence?
And that's the thing. They on the back of that, they took away his pass, and then after 3 or 4 months, they reconsidered.
Okay.
And they basically told him, look, you can't come in here with a banner like that again. And you understand that? It's like, absolutely. And he's like, but I wanted to test whether or not the reason Disney did that is because of what was on the banner. So he brought in Trump signs. And just recently, with the image capture here at Disney, he was caught coming down Splash Mountain holding up a Trump 2020 sign. I forget what other picture capture attraction he did it on. And Disney at this point is like, okay.
You're done.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, you're going pretty fast. The wind resistance.
Well, the argument was, at this point, it's a
safety issue.
Yeah.
And that should have been obvious.
Yeah. This is a guy who was trying to create controversy, trying to make his own fake news. So that's it. Now your annual pass is gone forever.
Are there any changes coming up to Splash Mountain, or is it in status quo mode?
Somebody just tweeted out they were walking through one of the splash mountains around the world and noticed that there was a chemical up on a shelf that was basically the sort of thing one uses to lighten the color of one's skin.
Really?
Yes. And I get that somebody in research probably saw that label somewhere back in 89 when they did the first Splash Mountain. Like, oh, cool, we're being authentic. And now it's like, oh my God, please pull that.
Yeah, please, let's cover that. It's hydrogen peroxide. It's for teeth whitening. Yes, exactly.
Don't be surprised if you do see that sort of editing with Splash Mountain, because again, what we perceive as being politically correct or what's acceptable to all members of society,
it changes.
It's constantly changing. Right, so, but the ride itself remains, and for me, it's always been intriguing that we even got this ride at all. So.
Yeah, I think it's we told the story before about how we got the ride, but it's a marvelous story. What about the train station, the Walt Disney World train station, Jim, behind Frontierland, accessible through those steps?
Well,
right there. Is it any? I mean, it's reliable transportation. It's actually going to stop running though when they for a little bit at the beginning of the year when they do Tron.
That they are, in fact, one of the more fun moments of during the construction is how the people who are experiencing Splash Mountain, have to sort of hang on. The big steam train is coming through, and we don't want you to get squished. If you recall, when they opened Mickey's Birthday Land back in '88, they did show scenes along the length of the track that sort of set up the whole Birthday Land experience.
Right, and they haven't done that since then. They haven't really added any trackside scenes.
Well, get ready. They are planning to do that for
Really?
the 50th. In fact, supposedly, as part of the shutdown for the Tron construction,
Okay.
they've supposedly selected upwards of 5 and 6 new places they can do show scenes. And they're going to go in, do the electrical work, do the conduit, and then you'll see them installed just ahead of the 50th.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Jim, we're walking by Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
And it still kind of breaks my heart that we didn't get the Lone Ranger stuff.
Well, to be fair, no one got the Lone Ranger.
Well, look, all right, 25 years after the fact, the Sanderson sisters are performing in front of...
Oh, that's
the
right.
Cast.
From the Halloween party, right?
And more to the point, the Rocketeer is a beloved character. So just because you fail at the box office doesn't mean that you won't end up in a theme park, 20 years down the line.
See Tron, the movie.
And I remain ever, ever hopeful that the Lone Ranger stuff, because they had some wonderful ideas they were going to drop in here.
Really?
Yeah. You were going to come around a corner and you were going to have an AA figure and a horse of the Lone Ranger rearing back and doing the whole Hi-Yo Silver.
Wow. And that didn't happen.
Yeah, not going to happen.
All right. But how is Big Thunder Mountain aging as an attraction? I mean, as far as we can tell from our reader surveys, it's still super popular.
It is sort of one of the must-see attractions in the park. If you talk to the purists, they're still the ones who wish that Disney had built Thunder Mesa instead, but from a capacity point of view, I mean, how many folks per hour through this?
1,500-ish, somewhere in there. That's
Okay.
a ballpark estimate without me doing any research.
All right. I'm kind of surprised at that number. I thought we'd do a little bit better than that, but...
Oh, I mean, the lines are still pretty long, but that's what we get. Maybe 1,600.
Okay. But, I mean, it's beautifully designed. I mean, mind you, it is a bear to maintain between the safety equipment and just, when they have to shut this down to repaint this. When you look at the rock work at Cars Land at Disney California Adventure, or for that matter, the stuff we can already see sticking up out of
Galaxy's
Black
Edge.
Star Outpost, people now expect Disney rock work to really be exemplary. In fact, a lot of people who've seen the Pirates of the Caribbean redo and that scene with the octopus and the treasure chest,
Yep.
all of the rock work around there is new as well, because
Oh.
it was previously basically industrial strength tinfoil that had been crumpled into rock shapes and then sprayed with gunite. That was what Disney did for rock work back in the day.
Now it's completely different.
Yeah. So
All right, Jim. One more Frontierland attraction before we move on. What is, if anything, is happening to Tom Sawyer Island? Status quo ante, same as before.
pretty much, I mean, every year when Disney Legal does its review, it's kind of like waves hitting the shore and one other thing will disappear quietly. We have become such a litigious society, the whole notion of, kids being able to climb ropes and, swing and that sort of thing.
Barrel bridges that aren't stable by design.
There we go. In the grand scheme of things, in much the same way as 20,000 Leagues went down in Fantasyland to create the space for New Fantasyland, we really should not be surprised in the next 10 or 15 years to see the Rivers of America go away to create a giant chunk of real estate for a brand new land.
Oh, right. Then it's got to be, what, close to 7 or 8 acres right there?
Yeah,
just all of it.
and we talked earlier about how Disney is sort of pruning out the slow-moving or expensive-to-maintain attractions.
Right.
And when you think
the
about
underperformers, as it were.
that's it exactly.
All right. Yeah, I can totally see that. It'll be a shame when it's gone, but as long as it stays in Disneyland, as long as there's one of them, I think we'll all be happy. All right, Jim, why don't we walk over to Liberty Square, and we'll see what's shaking in colonial America. How does that sound?
That works for me.
All right, folks, you've been listening to the Disney Dish podcast with Jim Hill. We are produced fabulously by Aaron Adams. Please go on to iTunes or Stitcher or, your local hitching post and write us a review and tell us what you'd like to hear next. For Jim, this is Len. We will see you on the next show.